Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
San Diego leaders will need to make tough choices to balance the city's budget. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Carroll, in for Maya Trabulsi. Mayor Todd Gloria today announced his proposed budget for the next fiscal year. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says it includes cuts to the city's efforts to tackle climate change.
Mayor Gloria is proposing more than $5.5 billion in city spending. That's up 9% from the current fiscal year. But the cost of everything from paying city employees to buying gas for city vehicles has gone up. To balance the budget, Gloria wants to take money from the city's Climate Equity Fund, which supports projects in low-income communities. He'd put the money into the General Fund, which supports police, fire, and library services.
These are one-time measures made with the hope that we will see improved economic conditions in the very near future. While we've attempted to minimize service level impacts to the greatest extent possible, we did have to make some very tough choices to maintain our priorities.
Budget deficits are nothing new in San Diego, and there's an enormous need for long-term infrastructure funding. Gloria says that's why he wants to ask voters for a 1-cent sales tax increase on the November ballot.
There's no reasonable way to accommodate all of the capital needs that we have as a city without finding new ways to pay for it. Others in the past may have told you different. I'm here to tell you the truth. We need additional resources in order to fix our roads, repair our piers, fix those ball field lights at parks, all the things you all are reporting on daily. It's all around. You see it. We need additional resources to do it, and what I know for sure is delaying will only make it more expensive.
The City Council kicks off its review of the mayor's budget proposal on May 1st. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Former San Diego County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher spent more than $300,000 from his abandoned state Senate campaign to pay for his legal defense in an alleged sexual assault lawsuit. That's according to campaign finance disclosures reviewed by KPBS. KPBS reporter Scott Rodd broke this story, and he joins us now with more on this. Now, to start, Scott, just remind us of how this lawsuit emerged and the impact it's had.
Well, let's go back to last year. In February, Nathan Fletcher announced his candidacy for state Senate. About a month later, he abruptly dropped out of the campaign. He had cited the need for treatment for PTSD and alcohol abuse. And then a few days later, this lawsuit was filed. The lawsuit was filed by a former employee at the San Diego Metropolitan Transit System, and the lawsuit alleges that Nathan Fletcher sexually assaulted this former employee on multiple occasions. Now, Fletcher denies these allegations. He claims that they had a consensual relationship, but he's been battling this in court now for over a year. And since then, he's resigned his position as both the MTS chairman, but also his county supervisor position as well.
Yeah. Of course, there are specific rules around how candidates can spend campaign money. So what does that law say?
I spoke to the California Fair Political Practices Commission. That's the agency that oversees campaign finance and does regulatory and enforcement actions. They told me that generally speaking, a campaign can only spend money on things related to governmental purposes, legislative action, political action. They also said that when it involves a lawsuit, it has to be litigation that's directly tied to a campaign. Otherwise, the campaign cannot spend money on it.
Okay, so you spoke to campaign finance experts about this, about his use of campaign funds for his legal defense in that alleged sexual assault lawsuit. What did they tell you?
They said basically this looks like it's falling into a gray area. I spoke with Jessica Levinson. She's a professor at Loyola Law School. Here's what she had to say.
I think there's a real question as to whether or not this is a legal use of campaign funds. And this is a case where we're potentially pushing the lines of what is allowed.
Okay, so what did Fletcher have to say about all of this?
So I reached out to Fletcher's attorneys and his campaign. His campaign attorney got back to me and said, look, everything that's happening here is legal. They said this lawsuit would not have been filed if Fletcher hadn't run for state senate. So they argued that this is clearly tied to his state senate candidacy. They believe that it's totally within bounds of the law.
Guess we'll see. KPBS's Scott Rod, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, we have some showers moving into the area overnight tonight, and it's going to be a very active weekend with a late season. This is nearly the end of the wet season, but a late season storm still coming in. So the clouds thicken tonight, and you're going to notice some more rain in the area. Again, showers off and on Saturday, heaviest to the north. But we'll be talking about some of the details in our full forecast coming up.
Advocates are worried about the well-being of detainees struggling with mental health issues in San Diego County jails. A recent state audit found local jails have one of the highest rates of inmate deaths in California. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco spoke to concerned families at a protest today.
Relatives of those who have died in custody or who have loved ones grappling with mental health issues behind bars gathered outside the Central Courthouse in downtown today. They were voicing their concerns over the inadequate mental health care and growing number of in-custody deaths in San Diego County jails. David Settle's brother, Matthew Settles, was schizoaffective. He died in custody at the George Bailey Detention Facility in August 2022.
He was delusional. He was off his treatment. He was needed the help to get stabilized. Mom and I and his family, we feared that would be a death sentence for him, and it absolutely was. The jails are not at all, able to handle the mentally ill.
A survey found 40% of San Diego County arrestees reported being diagnosed with a mental or psychiatric disorder, and about 25% use psychiatric medication. Cheryl Canson stood holding a poster board decorated with photographs of her two sons who are imprisoned, one suffering from paranoid schizophrenia and another with bipolar disorder. She says tighter policies could reduce jail deaths caused by drug overdoses, lack of medical care, and suicides.
Overdoses continue to happen. My son got a heroin addiction inside prison. He didn't have it before he went in. So how are these drugs, how accessible to them?
San Diego Sheriff Kelly Martinez and former Sheriff Bill Gore have consistently declined requests to subject deputies to drug scans. Supporting the families were advocates pushing for changes in the jail system to better assist inmates struggling with mental health issues. They say that behind bars, people with mental health conditions often face neglect, abuse, or even death. Yusef Miller is Executive Director of North County Equity and Justice Coalition.
We cannot arrest our way out of mental health crisis. We cannot punish our way out of mental health crisis. That we need change in San Diego County jails. We have been the highest in custody death rate for a very long time running, and it is a shameful record that we still currently hold.
Sheriff Kelly Martinez has a $500 million plan to upgrade jails and decrease deaths in custody. But San Diego still maintains one of the highest rates of inmate deaths in the state. 185 lost their lives from 2006 to 2020, according to a state audit. An additional 36 people have died since its release in 2022. Gina Burns is a mother facing the daunting reality of having two incarcerated sons with severe mental illness. Alongside other families, their collective message to Sheriff Martinez and county officials is clear.
Kelly Martinez, I'm holding you accountable for all these deaths and all this trauma that's been based on these people with severe mental illness, including my sons. Accountability means change, and change needs to happen.
Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
The San Diego region is set to receive $39 million in federal funding for the care of migrants who cross the U.S.-Mexico border. The money is part of FEMA's Shelter and Services program. Half of the federal funds will pass through the county government to local nonprofits. The other half will go to Catholic Charities of San Diego and Imperial Counties, which currently runs a shelter. Since last year, Customs and Border Protection has dropped off tens of thousands of migrants in San Diego. The county had supported a transition center that provided food and helped arrange travel for the migrants, but funding ran out earlier this year. Childcare is in a crisis. Providers don't get paid enough and families can't afford it. California has a new program aimed at helping a little, transitional kindergarten. As part of the special KPBS series, Where's My Village?, reporter Tanya Thorne looks at how it's working so far.
I walked down the street to a daycare that was on our block. So I walked in and I had Damien there with me, and I said, you know, how much is it to enroll my baby? And they said it's $600. And in my head I was like, oh, a month, like that's doable. Of course I'm gonna enroll him. But they said a week, and I was like, oh, well, that's a different story.
The reality of the working mom life got very real very quickly for Megan Moore.
I mean, that's a little pricey. And when I was considering it, they then told me we have a waiting list. There's so many people on the waiting list, and it kind of hit me like, whoa, like I'm gonna have to truly shop around.
For many parents, the cost of childcare is the same as or even more than their mortgage or rent. The average cost for infants in San Diego is around $1,600 a month, and with 2 kids, maybe $3,000 a month. So Megan had the same options as many parents.
Oh, thank you.
Return to work to basically break even or quit her job.
I had no intentions of becoming a stay-at-home mom, you know. So when the time came around and maternity leave was, you know, almost over, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, like, what am I gonna do?
Megan used to work in programming for a Parks and Recreation department. Now she's a stay-at-home mom to 4-year-old Damien and 3-year-old Judah. But she gets some help with her oldest.
There's this great thing coming out. It's TK. I don't know when it rolls out for you, but like you need to get him in because it's free.
Universal Transitional Kindergarten, or TK, is California's newest early childhood education program. All 4-year-olds in California are supposed to have a free spot in public school by next year. San Diego has already fully rolled out the program, so all 4-year-olds like Damien can attend TK.
And I remember that whole first day, we were at home just worried, but he came out and he was like, I made this friend, I love my teacher, do I get to come back tomorrow? And it was like, it was the best experience.
This is yet another opportunity for us as a country to say that we value our children, that we value the people who care for our children.
Sasha Longstreth runs the Child and Family Development at San Diego State University.
TK teachers will say this is the gift of time. And what that means is that there's more of an opportunity to focus on these social emotional skills, you know, these relationship skills, these active learning skills.
Kids are in school a year earlier, so the idea is they're better prepared for the next step in their education. But it can be hard to fit 4-year-olds into classroom routines.
If you were to walk into a TK classroom and it was completely quiet and students were sitting at their desks doing worksheets, then that would be concerning.
We're really good at kindergarten, and I think we had this realization, this aha, that TK is not just kindergarten for 4-year-olds. It's a whole different ballgame.
Shayna Hassan is the president of the San Diego Unified School Board.
I think for so many parents, TK represents a raise.
But it's not totally free. And the TK program was rolled out without much input from existing childcare providers. It has ended up hurting providers, even forcing some centers to close. And when childcare businesses close, it's even harder and more expensive to find care for infants and toddlers. And the businesses that stay open have to raise their rates for those younger kids. That could make infant care even more expensive for parents. Megan is already past that phase with her sons, and now she's counting down the days until her youngest, Judah, can get into TK. because that help means she can go back to work sooner than she thought.
We're not going to have to check our bank account before we do certain things.
But for Megan, it also means something else.
I think the thing I'm looking forward to most is getting back in, chasing my passions, chasing my dreams, and doing something that I can feel good about myself.
Tanya Thorne reporting. To see the whole series, go to kpbs.org/Where's My Village. The tug of war over federal student loan debt relief inched a little towards the borrowers this week. President Biden unveiled a new plan to eliminate billions of dollars of debt for those who qualify. Laura Aguirre has more on the new proposal.
We're fixing a broken system.
The Biden administration announcing Friday it plans to wipe away another $7.4 billion in student loan debt for around 277,000 borrowers nationwide.
We're trying to provide a fair shot to Americans trying to access higher education.
Student loan debt relief has been a cornerstone issue for the president since he was elected in 2020.
Early in my term, I announced a major plan to provide millions of working families with debt relief for their college student debt.
At the time, several GOP-led states sued to block his plan, an effort that the Supreme Court upheld. The initial plan would have canceled out up to $20,000 in debt for millions of qualified recipients.
I announced we're going to pursue alternative paths.
That brings us to this week.
My administration will propose a new rule to cancel up to $20,000 in runaway interest for any borrower that owes more now than when they started paying the loan.
Some debt holders could qualify to have all of their interest cleared under the plan.
We're going after those schools that are defrauding our borrowers.
For months, the DOE has been working on a new path toward their debt relief goal, using a different legal authority granted under the Higher Education Act of 1965. There's a required public comment period before the DOE can finalize any new proposals. The White House says if all goes as planned, canceling accrued interest for qualified borrowers could begin as early as this fall, right around election time. I'm Laura Aguirre for KPBS News.
The grace period for the city of San Diego's Styrofoam ban ended about a week ago, and it's taking some restaurants time to adjust. The ban took effect last April, but businesses making under $500,000 were given a year to comply. The city says it's taking an educational approach to the ban to help businesses comply. They're also offering 2 waivers to help businesses as they transition to more environmentally friendly products.
We have a feasibility-based waiver if a company can't find an alternative that will work for their needs. And we also do have a financial-based waiver. So if there are small businesses that are in that same category with less than $500,000 in revenue, if they are finding that it's financially difficult for them to comply, they can also apply for a waiver.
The city says the ban will help to reach its goal of reaching zero waste by 2040. If you own a business and would like to apply for a waiver, you can do it using the email on your screen, sdrecyclingworks@sandiego.gov. State Farm's decision to cancel some local home insurance policies is getting a lot of attention, so are rising car insurance rates. SDSU's Miro Kopik explains why this is happening in the Friday Business Report.
The big reason is the wildfires and the regulatory environment in the state. About 2,300 are here in San Diego County. About 40% of them were in 4 zip codes. Rancho Santa Fe and Fairbanks Ranch, about 50% of the homeowners policies in those 2 zip codes are going to be declined here on their renewal date. 2 other areas that are impacted at a somewhat of a significant rate are both Tierra Santa and Scripps Ranch. Now, on car insurance, we saw that in March, car insurance rates nationally were up 22%. And there's a few reasons why this is the case in particular. First and foremost, there's a rising cost of car repairs for a number of reasons. There are fewer mechanics out there. There are more totaled cars because there's a lot more technology. It used to be you could replace a bumper or you could, ding out a dent on a bumper. And now because of all the sensors in that bumper, you have to replace the entire bumper. EVs, while the cost of maintaining them, the fuel costs are much lower, the repair costs can be fairly high.
Well, we have a lot to talk about with another storm system. This is a late season storm likely our final round of widespread showers before the dry season sets in, but it's been a good wet season for us. We're going to be wettest to the north, and it will be unseasonably cool this weekend. And just a checkup on how we're doing with water supply and the Sierra snowpack off to our north. We have a 22% surplus in the northern Sierra, a 9% surplus in the central Sierra, and a 5% surplus in the southern Sierra coming into this storm. So we're doing better than we typically are here around April 12th, and following last winter's huge, if we go back a full year, the wet season of 2022 to 2023 being a great year for big-time rain and snow. We have a nice bank of water in the reservoirs. So tonight we have generally cloudier skies. As the clouds thicken, we'll be around 56 for the low. And then tomorrow, here come the showers. Periods of rain, oceanside showers into Chula Vista, scattered showers into areas around San Diego. And we'll see some of this move east into Mount Laguna as well. And snow levels will be relatively high with this one. They will see some significant snow into the Sierra, but for us, rain showers heaviest to the north, but there will be a few showers even farther south. So you can see future radar through the late night hours into early Saturday. Here comes the moisture, and during the day Saturday, we'll see some showers becoming more likely into the afternoon and late afternoon and evening when we have the best shot here locally for some localized rain showers. Here we are with the coastal forecast. Rain and drizzle Saturday, especially in the afternoon. In the evening, Sunday, still a lingering shower may occur, and it might be a little more likely in the afternoon with a little bit of instability triggering some late day showers there. Then we dry out and we begin to warm back up into the upper 60s by Tuesday and Wednesday. Inland areas, you can see rain and drizzle Saturday, showers spotty as they will be, popping back up in the afternoon, Sunday afternoon, and then some sunshine returns. We jump all the way up to 77 Wednesday, a nice spell coming in there. Into the mountains we go, and here you can see some snow mix in on Sunday on the cooler side of the storm system. A rain snow mix for some, just showery, and then we'll warm back up into the upper 50s by Wednesday there. The final stop in our tour takes us to the deserts, and even here we can see a few showers, especially on Sunday afternoon, but then we ramp up into the upper 90s, a big rise into Wednesday. That'll be a big warm up coming into the middle of the week. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
Prom season is here, and one organization is, once again, helping teen girls get ready for their big nights. The Princess Project is headquartered in Mission Valley. Volunteers say there are a number of reasons why a teen may still need a dress, could be financial, or simply they haven't found one they feel good in. Whatever the reason, the Princess Project is there to help.
Part of our mission is that we promote self-confidence and individual beauty in every teen coming through our door. That's the whole thing of why we are here at Princess Project. We're here to make kids just have that boost in self-confidence, to make them feel beautiful and amazing.
The Princess Project has given away close to 14,000 dresses since 2009. This year, the project is hoping to help at least 2,500 girls, all free of cost to the teens and their families. There are plenty of great restaurants in San Diego, but one chef has achieved something no other has before. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer visited the executive chef who's up for a prestigious award.
Inside Anime in downtown San Diego, executive chef Tara Luansing Mansud creates a masterpiece.
It's comforting, it's warm, it's satisfying.
With a balance between creativity and care, Luansing Mansud prepares and plates her signature peanut-forward offering.
Kare-kare is a very Filipino dish that was one of the first Filipino items I put on the menu. And the reason it's a big deal is because you don't see Filipino food like this in a setting like this very often.
She's long had a unique blend of skills. Now, Luansing Mansud is the first ever San Diego finalist for the prestigious 2024 James Beard Award, Best Chef California. The rankings began in 1990 and are like the Academy Awards in the culinary industry.
I was overwhelmed, honestly. I didn't really know how to describe how to feel. I think with kind of my mentality, I'm never satisfied. I figured or maybe I have imposter syndrome and be like, how the hell did I get it?
How she got here hasn't been a straightforward journey. The now 40-year-old originally pursued a nursing career until she switched paths in her late 20s to follow her heart, which she wears on her sleeve.
Went to culinary school and I took my first class. I knew I was in the right place.
It was a lot of long days and nights, but she persevered. Using inspiration from her father's artistry, mother's work ethic, and most importantly, Filipino roots.
To be great at it, you kind of have to live, breathe it, you know. It does take up a certain part of your brain that doesn't ever go away. Like, I think about food all day, every day. I watch food at home. It's kind of ridiculous.
Since 2021, she served as executive chef at Anime, an upscale Asian fusion restaurant, and is now also headed for a new adventure. Executive chef at La Jolla's soon-to-open French steakhouse, Le Coq. There, Luwansing Monsud plans to keep trusting her gut and bringing to life the flavors she can taste in her mind.
I used to draw when I was a kid, you know. I guess I'm a product of, I'm just like my dad in that way, except my medium is food. So visually I can see it, and I can see it in my brain, which is really weird.
It's fair to say Luwansing Monsud has a lot on her plate right now, but she's taking it in stride and keeping true to her kind, humble self. The 2024 Best Chef California Award winner will be announced June 10th in Chicago. She plans to go and wants to bring her biggest inspirations, her mom and dad, with her.
My mom's going, my dad might go. My dad's a little more stubborn. He's like, I gotta watch dogs, you know, but he's like, you know, he's like, oh, I'm gonna watch, I'll support you still, you know.
As for the food, it tastes just like the chef drew it. Filled with love, out of the ordinary, and like a home away from home. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
And now I'm hungry. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm John Carroll. Have a nice evening and a great weekend.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.